We're not a company, but we recognize potential. We develop it. We use it. We'll make sure that as your responsibility grows, so will you. As your ability for leadership grows, so will you. Working with us, you'll gain self-confidence. Become a person with a future. We're not a company. We're your country. We're the Marines, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. We're the armed forces. It's a great place to start.
It's a small company. In fact, you're looking at the entire staff. But to the client, they looked as professional as the biggest competitors. Maybe that's because Team Xerox studied their documents and came up with a solution, including a Xerox memory writer for perfect letters and a new desktop Marathon copier, which gave them big features at a small price. At 9 a.m., they presented their case. By 4 p.m., they got one with a note saying, "Please thank your staff for such great work," which, happily, they did.
We got it! We got it!
Monday.
Make him disappear.
Lee's life is in Amanda's hands.
I just aim for the broad side of the building and hope for the best.
Then on Kate and Allie.
My raincoat needs a shave.
When Kate gets a mink, boy, does the fur fly.
In that coat, you look like Bigfoot.
And on Newhart, Stephanie is dumped by Michael.
What is the least I can do to get you back? And I mean the very least.
10.
I'll have to find him.
A desperate fugitive.
It was decorated for heroism by the city of New York.
A statewide manhunt.
He's dangerous.
Cagney and Lacey. Monday.
Well, welcome back to New York. And Irv Cross, one of the two unbeatens under fire down in the state of Florida right now. The Chicago Bears, they kick a field goal late in the first half. They trail the Buccaneers. The count is 12-3. You know, early on, Irv, you could tell that the Bears were flat.
Boy, I tell you, but Tampa Bay's defense is really pumped up, Brent. They felt they came in this game really rocking. They could force an upset.
But it was the Bears' defense that held off a possible touchdown here. Watch Wilbur Marshall get to Steve DeBerg, takes him down. He was knocked out for a series. Alan Risher entered the game. He could not get the Buccaneers into the end zone. They kick a field goal. Now watch intentional grounding here by the Bear quarterback. No doubt about it, the Buccaneer defense all over him. But then it was DeBerg and Kevin House.
Well, yeah, House scored this touchdown, but really Jimmy Giles has been a big factor in the first half. Watch this. Inbounds, touchdown. The funny thing about that, though, is the defensive back stopped at the goal line. Why didn't he go with him?
I know, and you mentioned Giles, 7 catches, 112 yards in the first half of that game. Detroit and Green Bay, the Packers are dominating the Lions right now. 20-3, they are at the half of that one. Buffalo and Indianapolis. Hank Bullough makes his coaching debut with the Bills, but the Colts have jumped all over Buffalo. It is 28-10 late in the second quarter of that one. A wild Donnybrook. Bernie Kosar forced to quarterback the Browns for a time because Gary Danielson suffered a shoulder injury. On the first snap to the youngster out of Miami, he fumbled it. They did recover, and they lead by a point at the half. Philadelphia and New Orleans. How about this? Bum Phillips. Last week, he stunned San Francisco. Yes, indeed. Give me another birthday gift, and he'll take it. Dave Wilson, except for that horrendous first week, has thrown the ball very well. And here he is going to Eugene Goodlow in the end zone, and the Saints jumped ahead by 10 points. What happened to Reggie White?
He bruised his ribs. He had a big game last week against the Giants, tipping a couple of balls and forcing some interceptions.
This is an interception for a touchdown by Johnny Poe. What about Randall Cunningham?
Well, Randall Cunningham came in this game with a sprained ankle. On that pass, you have to really drive off your leg, get some force on it. He couldn't do it.
They had him out, and Ron Jaworski came in, and he got the Eagles on the board late in the first half, hitting John Spagnola. 20-7 the count there with the Saints ahead. Rematch of the AFC Championship. Steelers leading the Dolphins 17-14. They did it late on a pass from Malone to Thompson in that game. Danny Marino has gone to Dan Johnson, 2 yards for one of the Dolphin touchdowns. San Francisco and Atlanta. Joe Montana's having a big afternoon, but the 49ers have been unable to get the ball into the end zone for Bill Walsh, except on this play right here. You won't believe it. The Falcons send everybody but the sink after him. Here comes 9 guys. Roger Craig is there, and Irv, you got to tell me what happened on this play defensively.
I hate to do this to you, but we used to call this play Sticky Sid. Everybody comes. The in man on the line must pick the first back up, but he blitzed. Wide open.
And look at that. They're all going inside, and Craig says, give it to me. Look at the wide open spaces I'm about to head for, and he's got it. Touchdown. Now we see in this sequence, Freddie Solomon is going to take one of the hardest licks of the season. Right there, almost similar to the same spot where Ronaldo Nehemiah was hit, but fortunately we saw smiling Freddie Solomon over there on the sideline, and he was not injured seriously. And the NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations.
CBS Sports presents college football. Michigan take on Michigan State or UCLA against Stanford next Saturday on CBS Sports. This is CBS.
At UPS, it was never our intention to become a tourist attraction. But every year, scores of efficiency-minded Japanese businessmen show up and ask to tour our facilities. You see, UPS is so efficient, we can deliver next-day air usually for half what other companies charge. Which is why so many Japanese find UPS the most rewarding package tour anywhere. UPS, we run the tightest ship in the shipping business.
Action, excitement, suspense, thrills, daring, danger. And that's only the beginning. Now, there's a new name in iAdventure. Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. Not bad. Rated PG.
Starts Friday, Sam Eric 4, 1908 Chestnut Street and surrounding first-run theaters.
We all know we should find time to relax a little every day. What we need is an easy way to relax. Well, how about this one? With Easy 101, you can relax right where you are, no matter what you're doing. So when it's important for you to relax, listen to your favorite songs in a uniquely relaxing way on Easy 101. The place to relax every day.
Rock Hudson in Showdown, today at 4:30.
Welcome back to our studios in New York. You know, all too often we lose track of football players after they leave the game. But Danny Villanueva, that spunky little punter and place kicker for the Rams and Cowboys in the 60s, recently came to our attention because of his efforts in a campaign that has nothing at all to do with the sport. And this week we sent Gary Paul Gates out to Los Angeles to look into that story.
Danny Villanueva played for 8 years in the NFL, but to perform on that level, he had to overcome several obstacles.
I got as much as I could out of my God-given abilities and my limitations of size. I was a short, fat, slow Mexican-American.
That determination to succeed against the odds has carried over to Danny's work after football. For the past 17 years, his professional life has been here at KMEX-TV, where he is now president and station manager. This Spanish-language station is the voice of Southern California's large Hispanic community. And one day last month, that voice broadcast a report that touched Mexican Americans in a special way.
The Mexican capital lived through some dramatic moments today as a result of a strong earthquake.
It soon became clear that Mexico had been hit by a disaster of epic proportions. At least 5,500 dead, another 10,000 injured, and thousands of buildings destroyed or severely damaged.
My first reaction was I uttered something religious, and I said we have to move as fast as we can. Let's get all the help we can. And my reaction was one of action.
So Danny mobilized his staff into action and launched a fundraising drive to help the victims. Several Hollywood celebrities joined in the effort, which came to a climax with a telethon that raised more than $5 million in record time.
A young man from one of the networks told me, he said, Danny, you've taken broadcasting to another level. You were not only part of the news, because we were given the first feeds to all the people in the United States and networks, but now you're part of the solution.
Even after the telethon, Villanueva continued the relief campaign. And two current kickers in the NFL, Tony Zendejas of Houston and Raul Alegre of the Colts, are donating to the cause.
I feel a moral obligation to do it. And even though it's little as it is, it might be of help.
Football in college, even in pro, is simply a means to an end. It gives us a wonderful opportunity, but it carries with it an incredible obligation that we have to a lot of people who look up to professional athletes.
Football is often described as a war, a life and death struggle, but that is just part of the hype. Football is a game that kids play after school, and highly skilled men play on autumn afternoons for our entertainment. Men like Danny Villanueva understand the difference between that and real life and death struggles. And they also understand that even in the midst of such a tragedy, one can find salvation and hope for the future.
We're resilient people. And over the years, we've known a lot of hard times, and we'll survive this one, too.
For the NFL Today, I'm Gary Paul Gates.
Irv, what a marvelous thing that is that Danny accomplished out there in Los Angeles. I know that he was a former teammate of yours.
Yeah, I remember Danny as a kickoff man who kicked the ball short down the 10 or 20-yard line. And in those days, you had a point man from the offensive team coming after the kicker. Danny oftentimes wasn't too anxious to go down there.
All right. Let's send you back to the stadium now in the game you're enjoying on CBS.
When I came to America from Russia, I discovered many wonderful things, like blue jeans, unopened mail, and light beer from Miller. When I tasted this light, I said to myself, what a country. Light has great taste. Light's also less filling with third less calories than the regular beer. In America, there is plenty of light beer, and you can always find a party. In Russia, party always finds you.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less. Hey!
Bill, you used a dandruff shampoo on Tuesday?
And my dandruff's back on Thursday.
Well, maybe what you've got isn't ordinary dandruff.
Ask your doctor. Flaking and itching could be signs of eczema, seborrhea, or psoriasis. Try Tegrin medicated shampoo. It penetrates to the scalp to loosen and wash away flakes. Medicates the scalp to help control flaking and itching with regular use. Tegrin medicated shampoo in original or herbal.
All right, welcome back to New York. I'm Brent Musburger along with Jimmy the Greek and Irv Cross. The Bears come from behind to win. Next Sunday, you all know what's going to happen. The Green Bay Packers roll up a big score. But the Chicago Bears are the story right now. And I want to bring the Greek in because next week they go out to play the 49ers. Make me a line in that one, old Big Greek.
Definitely a 4 to 6 point favorite in favor of the 49ers.
Now, here he's been picking the Bears all season long. He gets an opportunity
I know, but the 49ers are at home, Brent.
I know.
You got to go to the home team.
Irv, let's take everybody to the scoreboard and get them up to date. We got a lot of action now around the league. As you can see, Chicago comes from behind. They win it 27-19. I think that's 3 times this year now. The Bears have come from behind in the second half, twice against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Green Bay, as you saw a few moments ago, easily over Detroit. 43-10 was the final there. Indianapolis, the most points the Colts have scored in a game since they were playing back in Baltimore, and in 1976, they hit Buffalo with a big number. And, of course, the Bills changed coaches, but Hank Bullitt didn't make any difference. They were overrun today. Cleveland, and the story here, Bernie Kosar, 24-20 over the New England Patriots. And Irv Cross, how did Kosar play?
Had a real shaky start. First snap in the center, he bobbled, and everybody thought, uh-oh, the rookie has jitters. Then he came in and threw 5 or 6 touchdowns, 5 or 6 completions.
That's right. He hit him in a row, and then finally, yes, Jimmy.
He's got to learn to move a little bit quicker, Brent. I'm talking about Kosar. He's a little bit slow in the backfield.
All right, the New Orleans Saints, they came away today with a win. 23-21. So, as Jimmy the Greek told us, Bum Phillips was under the gun last week. He goes to San Francisco, an upset. Now he comes back and he wins the game. Now, we're going to have more post-game activities when we continue in a moment.
We're here at the 18th hole of this light beer open, and we've seen some real unusual shots today.
You said it.
Hey, Bob, I think you got a birdie.
Elsie, how am I supposed to hit it through this tree?
No problem, Bert.
How's Yuka going to get out of this one?
That calls for another light beer from Miller.
Make it 2, 3, 4. It's a good thing light's less filling.
Back to you, Ricky. John, the last player's approaching the tee. And when it goes to 100, you sell. I won't be long, girls. Hold my calls, will you?
It hit the weather vane. It's in the drain. Here it comes out. It's going on the green. It's going in the hole.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less. This open ought to be closed.
All right, and one of the best games of the afternoon. The Miami Dolphins come down the stretch in the fourth quarter, and they put away Pittsburgh 20. 24-20, and they did it with just a couple minutes left in that game. San Francisco and Atlanta, the 49ers behind Joe Montana's 5 touchdown passes. He was 37 of 57 for 429 yards, an embarrassing setback for the Falcons. On his 5th touchdown pass, there were only 10 defensive players on the game. Just underway, and Kansas City leads the Raiders by a field goal in the first quarter. San Diego and Seattle are underway, and the Seahawks kick a field goal. They lead by 3. Houston and Denver in Mile High Stadium scoreless right now in the first quarter. The Jets and Cincinnati are underway, and both teams strike early, tied at 7 right now. Minnesota and the unbeaten Rams, they are scoreless in the first quarter of that game. And for those of you who just joined us, let me get you up to date with the rest of them. The Bears a winner again, 27-19. They are now 5-0, and they go out to play the 3-2 San Francisco 49ers next Sunday. Green Bay over Detroit, 43-10, 6 turnovers by the Lions in that game. Indianapolis, with its most points since 1976 when they were playing in Baltimore, they rout Buffalo, 49-17. Cleveland over New England. Bernie Kosar forced to quarterback the Browns today because of a shoulder injury suffered by Gary Danielson, and the young man was impressive as he led them to that victory. New Orleans over Philadelphia as Bum Phillips. And Jimmy the Greek, I've got to ask you, because last week he beat San Francisco, now he stops the Eagles by 2. What does this do for the old Bummerooski?
I'll tell you one thing, he's a hero in New Orleans once again.
You won't be a hero long if he trades too many of our #1 draft choices down the road, I might add. All right. Pat Summerall was down in Atlanta, and he was covering the victory by the 49ers. We've got heroes like Joe Montana and Walter Payton, but let's start with Pat Summerall down in Atlanta. Pat?
Well, the final score, 38-17, and John, Joe Montana has graciously consented to stay out here and talk to us. Joe, did you have any idea what was going on as far as record setting is concerned?
No, I had no idea at all until after the last pass to Dwight, and we'd come off, and then we really felt the game was in hand, and they started talking about it, and I guess Roger tied something, and a record. We're going to try and get him the ball on the next play.
Yeah, he tied a record for most pass receptions in a game, 12.
Yeah, that's the only one I had heard of. Bill said that he had tied, and we'd like to get him the ball one more time, but we're going to try to go down the field one time.
Joe, how did you feel after coming off last week's loss to New Orleans, and really having a bad day for you, and then coming back today? Was practice different this week? Was the whole approach different for you?
Well, I think it was a little more intense than it has been, and it was only because of the way we lost. We felt that, we really didn't play our type of ball, but you have to give them a lot of credit. They stopped all our short passes, which we started the game with here, and we really couldn't control the game as much as they were controlling what we were trying to do. And I held the ball a couple times trying to make a play, and I got in trouble for it. In this game, we came in and decided that we were going to try and hit the short passes there and then take our chances down the field every now and then.